Hey friends, welcome to another episode of the Spiritual Sisters podcast. It's your favorite spiritual sister, the OG. Just kidding. Gabrielle Celeste, welcome. I'm thrilled for this topic, ladies and gentlemen, spiritual Barbies, spiritual Kens, because this one I just feel is going to slap. This modality is fairly new. It works wonders, having had my personal, multiple constellation sessions at this point, but I am so excited to welcome our friend, a returning guest of the show, Yvette. Hello, our favorite.
Hello. Hello.
You're back.
I am. Who would have thought?
I know. Has it been close to like 2 years almost? Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
2 years. Well, because you've been dying with constellations for the last 2 years.
Oh my God. a year exactly. Well, a year and a half. A year and a half. And the last years when I've been literally knocked down and dying and, grasping for air.
She was in what we call shadow work, baby. So everyone's like, how do you want to be, or how do you become more psychic, or how do you untap, your intuition and your potential? I'm like, shadow work. Shadow work is
it. The ironic thing is that we thought we did shadow work. Yeah. And I remember telling you, like, no, Gabby, I don't think we ever did shadow work. We just tapped the surface, and then now that what I've been through and what I've experienced and what I've learned, it's been a blessing. And that I can honestly say is shadow work to the deepest level.
It's crazy. Yeah, we're gonna get into all of that.
You've experienced it.
You had a front row seat to mine. I had a front row seat to yours. Then I took then you passed the baton, and then I did it, and now here we are.
I think it's hilarious how long did I chase you? Come on, let's do your constellation. Let's do your constellation. And then you're like, come on, let's record the podcast. We're good at running from each other, aren't we?
You know what? Thanks for reflecting that back. But straight up, I don't know that we could have done this episode and do it justice had we not gone through our process individually at the times that we did. But I also told you, I was like, I'm not ready for it. And I know I wasn't, because I was dying. And the thing with constellations is like, there's a party that has to be willing to see what's going to come up and trusting that it's for your greatest and your highest good. So
that is key. That is key. That is key. And it's not always what we believe.
Nor is it easy or fun. But I don't think we played this game last time. Did you? So we're going to do the five rapid fire questions, and then I'm just passing the baton to you to tell us all about constellations. But what are your big three in astrology, my friend?
My big three, I am a rising Virgo. My sun is a Libra, and I'm a Gemini moon. Check out that combination. Moon. And I'm very much all three.
Yeah, you are. And you balance it so well, like the Libra that you are, and you're highly intelligent. And that's very reflective of those three signs. So I love it.
Thank you.
Okay, next
question. I have a tongue for it as well.
Don't get on her bad side, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, what's your human design makeup?
I'm a generator.
She's a generator.
Very much a generator.
Do you remember when we were like confused as to what your human design was? And it's like, no, like you're a generator through and through.
Yeah, I remember that because it didn't make sense. And I'm like, really? But that doesn't seem like me. And then now I understand how I can keep going and going and going. Once the generator gets going, she doesn't stop. So
I say this with love, but
my superpower and my poison.
Well, I don't say it in this stereotypical fashion, but I say like you are a lady of the night because you get like your energy at like 2 a.m. I'm like, I've been dead for like 6 hours at that point.
As soon as the sun shifts to start coming down, all of a sudden it's like, That's why I tell people, I swear, in my past life, I was either a vampire or a prostitute, because as soon as the sun starts coming down, I'm like, all right, let's get this started. And I can go without sleeping, and just when I start getting all these downloads, and I keep going, and I know that I can't go to sleep because I won't wake up. It will be so hard for me to wake up the next day, but I definitely work a lot better, and I also work better in dark spaces. So I love where I live because the sun doesn't hit us, and you go in there, and you've been there, so you know how it's all nice and shady, and that's just a beautiful place for me to work. So yeah.
And your ideal environments is actually caves. What are caves? It's literally what you just described.
Yep. And you've seen in my travels, the one time that I go and I'm in caves and in water, that's when I come back completely rejuvenated and ready to keep and conquer the world. So
she's really born again. I love it. Okay. So what podcasts, audiobooks, TVs, movie shows, all the things are you watching right now?
Oh my God. Okay. I love Gilmore Girls, and I could have watched that 1,000 times. And I end it, and then all of a sudden it's time for it to start again. So I actually watched Sullivan's Crossing, and because I love Luke, like I want the Luke of my life, and the actor that plays Luke in Gilmore Girls is one of the main characters in Sullivan's Crossing. So that's what I'm watching. And it's kind of annoying. It's cheesy, but it's nice to soothe me after and just disconnect. Like I don't have to think. I just have to look at it and just be lethargic, So, but there was also this really annoying novela on Netflix, and my daughter, as soon as I turned it on, my kids, my daughter and my son would leave the room because it was literally really annoying, but I couldn't stop watching it. And it was called what? New Rich or New Poor or something like that. Rico Nuevo, Pobre Nuevo. Oh my God, it was so dumb, but it was so good. It just kept me hooked. But it was the kind of stuff I needed just to get away, like just to disconnect.
To disassociate, as we like to say in modern day terms, I guess. That's what the Gen Z children say. But we're also watching Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday. Yes, yes. I was supposed to go to bed early the other day, and I didn't because you told me that it had dropped. The second part of the season had dropped, and guess what we did? We got home and we watched one episode. So I'm like, damn. And we had to stop. So watching Wednesday. It has to be good. I mean, come on. Tim Burton. I mean, what doesn't he do that is not good?
It's so true. And the only thing that's really frustrating is that we now have to wait another 2 years.
I hate that. I hate that. I hate that. I hate that. It's like, so now what? Now what? I hate that we have to wait forever. And in 2 years, really? Why so long?
Like, what's life going to look like in 2 years? It's going to look very different, I think.
Right?
Exactly. Okay. So, next question. If you could work with any, client who could either be living or deceased, who would it be and why?
Living or deceased? That's an interesting one. A person that I would admire to work with would be Pope John Paul II.
Really? Interesting. Okay. How come?
Because, I was raised very religious, and he was a very spiritual man. So, I would like to see how he incorporated both worlds, both worlds. That would be something important because that's been a really hard journey for me. And I continue to do it. And I admire and respect his work. And, he's an actor. His career was being an actor. So there's so many other things. He would be one. And, that's something that I would want, somebody that I would want to work with. And of course, my eternal Johnny Depp. I'm still waiting,
Yeah. Okay, final question for the rapid fire questions. Thank you for playing the game, of course, in advance. If you could go to a concert for any artist, living or deceased, who would it be and why?
Mana.
Yeah?
Mana. Oh, wait. Okay. Mana, well, yeah, of course, because, they're my band. But the Rolling Stones. That is definitely my bucket list. Mm-hmm. The Rolling Stones. I really want to see them perform. I'm really bummed that the drummer passed and I didn't get to see him drum because I have a thing for drummers. But the Rolling Stones is the band I really want to see before one of them kills over. So I need to hurry the hell up.
You gotta get on it because they're getting up there.
Yeah, they defeated death a couple of times. I mean, come on. So yeah, I have to. Next time I'm going, I don't care what the ticket is. I'm gonna go, even if I have to go by myself and sell one of my kids. I'll be like, all right. Like, which one? You guys are all adults.
I feel like the Virgo would be like, all right, cool, I'm done. You'd be down with it, yeah.
For the record, my kids are all adults. Okay, so
yes, this is true.
I'm not selling children. I'm not selling children.
She has a Sag son, a Gemini daughter, and a Virgo son as well.
And my Virgo son.
Yeah. You have a play on all of like the elements in your chart. I love that.
Oh my God. And they are very much so. They are very much so. And they're all gifted. I mean, you've met that. They're all gifted in their own way, And
it's very cool family. And I just admire how you have raised them to walk this path. Like you've been doing this work, oh my God, what, 30 years now, Yvette?
Yeah. Believe it or not, 30 years. I know. I hadn't really thought about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I stop and think about my journey and I think about how it started and how long it's been. I'm like, son, bitch, it's been 30 years, Yeah,
that's a Saturn cycle. So before we were talking, you said something to the effect of like Saturn, your karma hasn't come because you've been doing, the work that you've been doing and giving back. But when you said 30 years, I was like, oh, that's interesting in terms of timing.
Exactly. And, and I don't think about it because I was just talking to a client and she was saying how, she's 70 and her husband just turned 72. I thought, wait a minute, when did that happen? I mean, we're 72 and then you think about it, all that you lived, and she's like, you don't really think of everything that you have lived. And you're like, how did this happen? How are we 70 all of a sudden? And that's kind of with me, it's like, damn, I've been doing this for 30 years now, Mm-hmm. I'm doing it more open now. And thankfully, I'm more focused in doing the spirit, like more, as in service now, So, but I've always been doing it. I think I've been more, as you very well know, I've been very low key doing it. Only the people that would find me, I would go ahead and work with. And now I'm more open about it.
Mm-hmm. So very much in her cave.
Had a lot to do with that.
I love it. I love having friends on this path. Otherwise, it'd be so lonely. But one of the recent things that, because you have a very expanded toolbox for just like, honestly, like for as long as you've been doing it. So like, of course, you have several modalities under your belt. But I think the one, and of course, if you haven't listened to the first 10 minutes of this episode thus far, we're talking about constellations. So the most recent one that you jumped into was constellations, which is different than IFS, internal family systems, and it's also different than access bars. But I would love for you to share, like just share the I guess what constellations are, and we can go over the who, what, where, when, how, all the details in terms of how it's supportive for clients that seek this type of therapy.
How is it not supportive is the question, which is really, it's ridiculous to say because you say, how is it not supportive? Like, how can there be a therapy that can help people in such a huge way? Because it doesn't only help you, it helps generational, right? So IFS helps, my belief of that is it helps the family, the therapy with the family, the trauma with the family, the system, the unit, right? Family Constellations works with generational. So for people to get a vision of it or a visual, it's like if a tree is growing and the root, there's something wrong or there's a knot in the root, it doesn't matter. That tree is going to continue to grow the same way because the problem is in the root. It's not in the branches. So they can go ahead and prune the branches and they can go ahead and, pesticide it and try and fix it. But it doesn't matter. It's going to grow like that again once that branch falls off because the problem is in the root. Family Constellations treats with things that we inherit from our ancestral lineage. So there's things that we inherit from, characteristics, traumas, behaviors, lineage, and even where our ancestor possibly didn't finish or fulfill their life journey, we make an oath that we will finish their journey for them and we don't live our life to the fullest, and we see it in many ways. One story that I want to share, and the story is from my mentor, and she, I love the story because she said in her family, the moms always gave the children to the grandmas, whether it was because they had to work or whether it was because they had to come to the States to work. For whatever reason, the grandmas always raised the children. And she said, no, I'm going to have my children with me. I'm going to have my children with me. And she did. She made it a point. She was a hard worker. She worked, but she always had her children with her. And what happened? So she's like, I fixed it, right? It's broken. It's not going to happen. Well, guess what happened? One of her children had a grandchild, and left them with her. So it just skips it, but you don't heal it. And then it continues to happen, And there's also the part where behaviors, like, why are all the women in the family single? Why are all the men in the family alcoholics? So these things continue to repeat themselves generational. And Constellations fixes the trauma that happened many years ago or that you inherited. It gives it back to your ancestors. And, honoring them, you will live your life. And you will do it, out of love for them. And you give them back what belongs to them. And you will keep, all the good that they gave you, but you will live your own life. So it's an amazing therapy. So that's what Family Constellations is. It's really hard to explain, and there is no explanation for Family Constellations. Every explanation that you're going to find will be very vague, and you're like, oh, is that what it is? You really have to live it to understand it. And but it does work with generational. It helps, but it doesn't only fix the past. You heal it, and it also your descendants. And it's like, so my children. So even though my children are already adults, what I do shifted their lives, which is really, really, really interesting. Like my daughter, and I'm going to share this, and if she watches this, she's probably going to kick my butt. But my daughter, she rarely dated. She rarely dated, and she was very committed, gung-ho. She was in every club ever, very dedicated to school, and she hardly ever dated. And I'm like, well, what's going on? And so I went and I did a constellation, and I constellated her. And I've been now, her husband, my ex-husband and I haven't been together now for, I think now going on 13 years, possibly 14. Well, a part of her felt that she had to take on that part of that void, and be there for me so I wouldn't be by myself. And therefore, energetically, she blocked herself from, I took the part of the energy of the partner. the energy. So everything, you'll always see us together. And my daughter and I are very close, but you'll always see us together. You would always see us together. And I've always been, you know me, I've always been the gun-ho mom with my kids. I mean, they're my everything. But so that energy, and once I constellated her, one of her best friends from 2 years is now, her boyfriend, and she's in this beautiful relationship, and she just has flourished. And just to see her, when I was able to tell her her energy, you know what, I'm okay. You live your life, I will live mine, and, go ahead and enjoy and take life, with your hands and live it to the fullest. I'm okay. And letting her know that I am okay. It's not as easy as doing that. I mean, there's certain things that have to happen during the session. And finally, she was able to accept that I was going to be okay. But in the eyes of a child, she was so worried about me, But then if you look at, it's just the belief that she's in our subconscious that we have, that, single moms struggle. Single moms have to work hard. Single moms, suffer. So she grew up with all those subconscious beliefs. And when she saw me, I think she was protecting me from all those subconscious beliefs that she had. So she felt that she had to take that on and be there with me so I wouldn't be by myself. So when we healed that, then now she's able to have a healthy relationship.
So I think that's so beautifully articulated. I would love to speak about the process, and then I also want to share my experience watching you actually conduct.
Please do.
A constellation. Not just for me personally, but in a group setting, because from my experience, you can do one-to-one with the constellator, who is you. You've trained to do that for the last year, which is an intensive, insane process from my just watching you go through it and having a front row seat. But you can also be a part of it when you're in a group setting, helping others with their own constellation. So if you could express and just detail the process of maybe start to finish, what that could look like, because it's almost like your body is used as a divination tool and the energies are funneling through you. And I feel like even explaining that process would help it make sense, because, constellations, it really feels like there's not that much information out there about it.
Okay. Well, first, let me explain it a little, change a little of what you said. So the creator of constellations was Bert Hellinger, and he was German. And this is very new. I mean, he started in the 1980s. So he started from watching Zulu tribes and watching how they did their therapies. Imagine that. They did therapies, how they did their healings, okay? They don't call them therapies, how they did their healings. And so he combined that with psychotherapy, and he came up with constellations, okay? And basically, when it's done, it could be done on one-on-one, which you have experience with me. And then you can do it one-on-one distance, and you can do it also with representation of dolls as a distance or in person. It really does depend. But one of I feel is the strongest way is in a group setting. And what happens is that you have representatives. So everybody comes into this place, to meet with me. Let's say there's 8 of us, okay? There's 8 of us there. There's the constellator, which would be me, or another person, one of my colleagues. And then let's say you're going to be the person we're going to constellate. So you're going to tell me what it is that you want to work on. And then I go ahead and say, okay, well, I need a representative for this, I need a representative for this, and we need a representative for A, B, and C, okay? So then at that moment, I tell you, can you please pick somebody to represent one of each of these things, right, that we're going to work with? And then they go into the space, which is just a space. A space, it could be anywhere. It could be anywhere. As you can see, we've done it in my office. It could be, anywhere. So we do it. And then at that point, the constellator connects, we connect and we prepare. But at that moment, everybody that's they're representing connects with, the generational lineage of the person that's being constellated. It's like an energetic connection. It's a systemic connection. And what happens is that the constellator, we pay attention to the movement that's going on. We ask questions to see what the person is feeling, and we look, of course, we listen to our guide that we're working with, and at the same time we look at certain things that tell us certain movements, certain positions tell us certain things, and when we do that, then we know how to move the constellation. The healing part with the constellation happens with what we call healing phrases. So a healing phrase is you, the person that I'm constellating, will say something to the representative of their father, right? And that's when the healing happens. The energy, as the phrases are heard by the person representing your father, changes the energy, and the energy starts healing. The system starts healing. That's how it happens. I mean, it's really a really, really hard thing to describe. It's I want to say it's a very, very strong energetic. It's almost like they're channeling, but they're not channeling. They really are not channeling at all. However, they are feeling, and you see sometimes they say words that only your father would say, or their features completely change, and all of a sudden they're giving you a look that your father gives you when they're upset with you, Mm-hmm. And then that person changes the energy. When we finally say, the therapy really is about getting the trauma out of your system and into the open. So the healing phrases, the way I like to describe it, when someone like is in a panic or confused, and all of a sudden, you slap them to get them to like. The healing phrases are gentle because they're not aggressive in any way. They're very loving. Everything about this therapy is very loving, but it's the one thing that's just going to make and unravel that trauma and just release it and let it go, and then just make it change. And it's a very beautiful thing to see, and it's amazing. It's healing. The beautiful thing about constellations as well, that not only does the person that is constellating heal, but the representatives also heal. Especially, so like for you, when we asked you to represent, and then the person that you were talking to, you looked at me like, what the heck? Why does this person name like the person that I have to heal something with? And well, there's no consequence. There's no consequences at all. Now, family constellations, one of the big, big important things about constellations is that you respect the lineage and you respect the order. So you respect father, mother, and your siblings in the order that they are born. And also the ones that do not, that are not around anymore. They still have a place in the system. So that is very important. And I think especially in society nowadays, we come from a lot of mixed homes, and we come from a lot of combined homes. So those things have to be aligned, because the most important thing a parent can ever give us is life. No matter what, if that's the only thing that they gave us is life, it's the most important thing. And we're grateful for that, even if they gave us nothing else. Okay? The other thing is that everybody belongs. It doesn't matter what your life is like. It doesn't matter what you have going on. You belong because you are part of this unit. And the third very important thing, and these are Bert Hellinger's keys is that you have to give and receive. You have to give and receive. And so the adults give and the children receive. And the adult is always going to be the adult. The adult's always going to be the hierarchy. And these things just have to be aligned in order for our life to be aligned. If that's aligned, everything, works better and flows better because it's going the way it's supposed to be. But did that help? Did I explain it?
Yeah, totally. So what can one expect? So like, say if we talked a lot about family order, but there seems to also be, at least, please correct me if I'm wrong, a time frame in which you can kind of just expect that medicine to kind of work, because there really is no follow-up action other than not talking about it for 21 days. You're not actually having to really do much other than notice the subtle differences. And I mean, I personally want to constellate my relationship to money. So can you constellate anything?
You can pretty much constellate anything. Constellation helps with self-sabotaging. It helps with traumas that you might have. A lot of times it's believed that you have to relive a trauma to release it, right? And one of the things that I found with constellations is that you have to release the feeling that trauma caused you. It's not necessarily reliving the action. It's letting go of what it made you feel that kept you in that space and made you have those subconscious beliefs that now you can't go on. We ask people not to talk about what their experience was for 21 days so that there's no manipulation of the energy, because it's very hard to understand, especially if you don't live it. So sometimes what another person's opinion would tell you about what you lived would change. And we tell people, pay attention to the little signs. Don't expect anything huge. And let me tell you, it can happen as immediately as you walking out the door from that constellation. We've had moments where you'll be constellating, like somebody will be constellating a relationship with a daughter that they haven't talked to for a very long time. And then in that, we'll still be constellating and the daughter will be calling them. Or it can take up to 21 days where all of a sudden, but the energy will continue to move for 1 year. So it's like, okay, if you see a change, don't say, ta-da, that's it. No, keep looking because it will continue to shift. So the whole thing, as for you, for me, the responsibility is I can't expect things to be changing, but yet for me to go behaving the same way that I used to be as well. There's certain things that I'm responsible about. So but the most part is just put attention to the subtle things. The small changes are huge. So
I really enjoyed, from my personal experience, not necessarily talking about what we specifically constellated, but my experience. I mean, I guess you don't even have to be like a professional intuitive to experience what it was actually like to participate in the constellation. But like you guys, it's crazy. Like you are on a mat, and the mat, it's almost kind of like a confined space. So like the energy stays within that structured square of sorts. And as Yvette's or any constellator's asking you these questions out of course, like divinely guided for her to ask, depending on what you're constellating, you quite literally feel the energy moving through you. You feel it in your energy centers. And it's kind of like if you can move forward, like you move to the side or to the front. And it's the craziest thing because, you said you can walk out of a constellation and the change will kind of be immediate, or it'll take 21 days or up to a year. But when when you did a constellation, I don't know what it was, I was literally like, Yvette, look, there's this space available for you, and that's now your office, and you had just finished the constellation. So I thought that was so cool.
Yeah. Well, the first time my mentor constellated me, I had no idea what this was. And her and I hadn't seen each other in a long time. And then she said, "Oh my God, your kids must be big, older and big and this and that." I'm like, "Yeah, they are." And then she's like, "So are you with somebody?" I'm like, "Nope, still single." "What? No." I'm like, "Yes." "Yvette, how long has it been?" "So you are come Sunday." And if my mentor tells me jump, I jump, even though I don't like it. If she tells me sit, I sit. I don't have to understand it. But I went and she constellated me. She didn't tell me what I was going for. And I was like, and I constellated my mother and my father. And let me tell you, it was just so impactful and so moving to see what I saw, because the people representing didn't know me. The people representing didn't know my parents, but yet they were acting out my parents. They were representing my parents to the T. Okay. So I left the office, and first of all, I'm like, what the heck? And I'm in tears because there was a lot of emotional release. And I'm walking to my car, and this guy's driving up, and he gets off his car and he comes to my car. So I walk really fast and I get in my car. I mean, come on, I'm in San Fernando, and I roll up my window and I'm like, and then he's like, "Hey," and he starts talking to me, and then he invites me to go out dancing. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I just crossed the street and a guy's asking me for my phone number. I mean, that doesn't happen to me, right? So I was like, they can happen really fast. And I just want to correct the mat. I use a mat for my purposes because that's how I contain the energy. Okay, but not all constellators use the mat. A lot of them just use the space. So yeah, for me, it's a mat. I like to contain it like that.
Yeah. And even so, like, that was my experience in my own constellation with you, which has been so cool to see the energy, just kind of. So we did the order of parents. It kind of sounds like that's it. Honestly, you guys, like, constellations, you can really constellate truly like anything, but there's so much that ties back to your parents and, like, literally, like, your mother, father, the energies and then ancestral energies from there. But what was really cool about participating in the group constellation was, and this, you choose who's going to participate and who's going to represent, within the family order, depending on what you're constellating or helping someone else constellate with. And every single time I was selected, it was totally by divine orchestration that specific person I was representing for someone else had some form of medicine for me. And in that process, like I told you, we did first of all, I went to Yvette's graduation. Didn't know what I was going for, aside from the graduation. Didn't know it was being set up because I had invited Yvette to come on the podcast. I was like, you need to talk about this, and you need to let people know that these services are available through Zoom and in person and in groups and all the things. And she kind of set me up. So I ended up participating.
It was not a setup.
It felt like it was a setup, but I was fucking wiped after 2. I was like, I can't do my own because they were saving me for the end. But, like, you feel
she kept trying to run out.
I was like, I don't need one. I'm good. I can go. I can go. Well, then I saw Yvette do what
wait.
Before we get there. Man, it was okay. Something else.
Okay, so you can constellate anything. You can constellate your relationships. You can constellate your partner. You can constellate, self-sabotaging. Why are you stuck there? Why are things not changing for you? I've had people constellate like, why am I not meeting a partner? Why am I in my relationship? Why do I keep meeting the same type of person? Why am I not ascending in my work? Why am I alone? So you can constellate anything, or anxiety, depression. You can constellate your illnesses too to see why you're there. So you can constellate anything. When we constellated you seeing your mother and your father. So we didn't do the orders of love yet. I said we had to do the orders of love.
Oh, okay. So I got more to do, guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I remember your face when I go, okay, so go, and we started your constellation, and you looked at me, and you're like, with the face and with that look where you were like, what the fuck? And I'm like, stay in your space. I remember that look, like, what the hell is happening, you know? And so, yeah, that's basically what it is. But you can constellate, and it's such a powerful, powerful therapy where, and we do inner child work because we've done inner child work, but this is an amazing way. It's inner child work in a different level. So it's almost like working the results of what happened. So let's say something happened when you were a child. How did that make you feel? And how are those feelings now affecting you? How is it that how they made you feel back then? Maybe you were not seen. How now it continues to affect you. So it's inner child work in a deeper, it's not just the action of what was done when you were a child. It's how it affected you and how you felt and releasing that. And that is such a hard and powerful thing to do. Wouldn't you say?
And you know what I love about that? It's like you said, like you feel, or at least in some modalities that are out there, it's kind of thought that you're supposed to express how you were made to feel directly to that person who made you feel that type of way, right? And oftentimes it could be your parents. With constellations, you don't need to do that. And it's so much more of a gentle, but such a powerful, effective approach that the healing is going to happen regardless. And multiple people are going to benefit from it as a result.
Exactly. It's such an amazing tool. And so very few people know about it. So very few people know. I mean, it's done all over the world, right? But we never hear about it. I had never heard about it. And I mean, we live in this world, and I had never heard of anybody doing it. And psychotherapists and psychologists refer to people like us, constellators, all the time, because therapy is wonderful, but sometimes it's really hard for you to get rid of these emotions. And yes, you can relive the trauma, and it heals the action itself and how you felt in the moment. But the constellation, you don't have to relive that. And sometimes it's kind of facing the fear, facing the trauma when it's not safe to face it, and when it's not, when it's too painful to do so. It's a gentle way of doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And I honestly, I think everyone needs to do constellations. Like and you can do like as many in a month, right? They say, right? There's not really a limit. I mean, I wouldn't advise that personally because it takes
and not always. Like some of them, you'll be like, oh, this one was a gentle one. I'm fine, right? Mm-hmm. But it really does depend when you constellate how you're going to process it through your system. You can constellate. There's people that'll constellate once a week, once every 2 weeks. We don't recommend it because you want to know exactly which constellation is working. If you constellate, for me, one of my teachers, my teacher said, if you constellate every week, how are you going to be aware of the changes that you're seeing and which constellation was it? Which was the shift that worked for you? Yeah. Because that's what's key.
So I have 2 questions before we wrap up, but can I talk about your exorcism? What I'm calling it?
It wasn't an exorcism, but
okay, wait. Literally, you guys, I got on my stories on Instagram and I was like, what the fuck did I just see? Like, it was so wild, but I only bestow this title to people that I just know are divinely chosen here to do God's work, and I call them God's favorites. My dad is one of them.
Well, thank you.
Maria and Yvette. Okay, I saw you and your strength as you were. I was like, what the fuck did I just see? But I mean, I've known you walk this path for so long, but you quite literally, and I don't want to speak to the context of like maybe what you were constellating, but it was like some heavy shit. And my understanding is like you guys don't really ever like to get for it to get that deep in terms of like the therapy in a group constellation. But I saw you pass very, very stagnant energy for the person that was receiving the constellation. And I was like, she's in her power for sure.
Yeah, I had to stay in my power. I think at that moment, all my years of experience and all my years of my teachings and the wonderful teachers. And, I've been doing this for a year, and there's 6 of us women that do this, that have gone through this journey together. And because of them, I think I pulled on everything that I could at that moment to be able to sustain, to be able to stay in that moment, to allow that shift and that healing to happen, because I couldn't have just gone and be like, I can't do this anymore, and interrupt. So I think I had to pull on everything and everything that I had in me. But what happened at that moment is the person that I was representing was somebody's lost child. They've been missing for a long time, and they're looking for them. And since the child's been missing since he was younger, you know, the person probably doesn't remember their mother anymore. We don't know. And so this child has gone through a lot of trauma. And when I was able to, I had to, because I felt the trauma that the child had gone through, and it just came through me, and I was able to heal it, because I literally basically had it, like you said, an exorcism moment where I was throwing up. I think my liver, my heart, everything came out at that moment. But it was all those traumas that this child has lived in while he's been gone, and it was very powerful, very strong. You remember how it was such a horrible, horrible smell. It did not smell like throw up. It was just something from a movie almost, and but I had to stay in that moment, because I was representing for that one person, and it was very important. We had gotten that far into the therapy that, we just couldn't just lose it at that moment. And
totally.
So yeah, so what you saw happen there was releasing the traumas of, and the child wasn't even in the room. We don't even know the child. Okay, I was representing the son, who is now would be a teenager, I believe, and I was releasing all those traumas but I do believe that the traumas had to be released, not only, of course, so that he could heal, but so when he does see his mother and his mother finally finds him, that he's open to meeting her and, open to seeing her, because you can only imagine what he's lived. So that was a rude welcome to the constellations. But let me tell you, they're not all like that. They're not all like that at all. Some of them are harder than others. Yes. But there's just things that, we have to get out of our system. I think I'm very grateful to my girls in my class, because that I went through this process with, because, very few people do I share my life with completely. Very few, and that. And constellations brought out things that I didn't even remember were there anymore. Like, oh my God, I didn't even know I was carrying this from, 32 years ago, 35 years ago, 40 years ago, and how it was affecting me now. And it's really interesting, because we say, if you look at pictures of, well, I wish we would have had a picture when we all started the course to where it ended. We all look different too. Like our features changed. It's really interesting. Our bodies changed.
You and I went to dinner one evening, and I was like, you look good. Like, you look like you looked not any
Thank
different in your
you.
body. You just looked and felt lighter. And it was a result of all the work you'd done energetically.
It's been hard. You've seen me. It's been a sad, hard process,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been sad to think, because you feel like, wow, I can't believe this is what I went through and this is how it's feeling. And, I just couldn't, but yeah.
So just final question. Also, by the time when this drops, friends, tomorrow's Yvette's birthday. She's a Libra sun. Her birthday's the 15th, so be sure to wish her a happy birthday, book a session with her. But just as we wrap up, what would you say is your favorite thing about constellations, and why should everyone do it?
My favorite thing about constellation, oh my God, there's so many things. I'm so much happier now.
Yeah.
That's the one. There's so many people that say, I don't know what it feels like to be happy. Or they feel I'm happy and they don't know. They're like, but I don't feel happy, right? I think that that's the one thing. For me personally, I can honestly say I am happy. I am happy. And I've always considered myself to be happy. I feel happy. And I think that's one of the grateful things for me. The other thing is also you've seen how my life has changed. It's like, it's changed so much. But my favorite thing for a person is for them to see that they don't have to stay in the rut that they are. Things don't have to stay that way, that things can change and things can be better. You don't have to end up in, just continuing to live in the same situation, feeling the same way. Things do change. And I think that's the beautiful thing about constellations, that things do change, and it doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to be ugly and traumatic. It could be done very lovingly.
I love that. Oh, I love you, friend. Thank you for coming on.
I love you too. But wait, you have to share though. What? They can. Well, we constellated you, and did you or did you not see results within the 21 days?
Oh, within like 7 days, if that. I literally. Well, so different areas of your life also move because the energy is moving as a result of doing the constellation, no matter what. I ended up getting like 14 clients in my business. I might take on an additional part-time job. I don't really know. But just like the shift from the fucking hell that I've been in for the last year doing shadow work, it was almost kind of like it came to an end. And that session, it was almost kind of like a nod to closing that door. And I'll never have to go through something like that again. I think that was it, honestly, like as bad as it was going to get. That's not to say the shadow work is done, because it's certainly not. It's never done. But I don't think it'll be as bad as it was. And constellations was just like that little pretty bow on top.
And you keep seeing things, right?
Yeah.
Like things are just getting better and better and better. And that's the thing with constellations. It's like, it's not a one-time thing. Like, no. Oh, I saw a result. No, they're getting better and better and better for you. And that's the beautiful thing about it. Like, oh, wow. And then you just vibrate differently.
You move differently in the world. I can't say enough good things about it. I think everyone should get a taste of it, experience it once, just to see what it's all about. Because truly, it's like, honestly, it's kind of like the easiest of the work. It's not like you actively having to go into meditation and you actively having to do this or that, but like, it's just phenomenal. So I can't say.
And that's exactly it. It is a phenomenal therapy. I mean, people say it's magic. It's magical. It feels like it is, but it's not. It's phenomenal.
I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure it's not magical?
No, I don't think so. It does feel like it, though. It does really feel like it, where you're like, oh, holy crap, this is really happening. Yeah. But I'm not going to say it's all roses, guys. Healing is hard, and sometimes the aftermath, it's like it's sad and you do feel it, but at least you're going to get better.
Yeah.
Like what I mean by that. What I mean by that is after a constellation, you might need to really just sleep. You're going to be really, really sleepy. You might get like a really bad cold symptom. You just might feel really sad all of a sudden, but then it goes away because you're processing the emotions, right? You have to give you, for the most part, it's not the heart. We went into a deeper level because Bert Hellinger said, if you're going to be a constellator, you cannot be a constellator unless you're healed. Oh God, they should have told me that before I signed up for this, right? Because I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to my teacher, Otilia Rivera, but it's like, damn, it's hard. You can't help people if you're not in the space of healing, especially because your connection has to be there.
You're almost better off not knowing what you're getting yourself into. Just saying. But where can the people find you? Please or let us know on Instagram what your handle is, the name of your business. If you do online readings. Yep. And
Tapajtiani.
Follow her on Instagram, friends, and book a session with her because it is truly like life-changing, honestly.
It really is, guys. It really, really is. I wish there was a better explanation for it,
No, I think you
did. But magical is the word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Would you be so kind as to do a card pull for us, my friend?
Okay. I brought my oracles. I selected this one, and I love this one because I love Alice in Wonderland, right?
Yeah.
And they're like just so beautiful. Look at these. Look at how beautiful
that deck haunts me. Haunts me. That's a shadow work.
What? I love it. I love it. Growing up. And it says down here, it says, waiting to cross, to come in experience. Rejoice of perpetual youth.
Ooh. What they don't tell you is you do actually look more youthful as a result of doing all the healing work. You're welcome in advance.
Yeah. I'm like wanting to grow in experience and rejoice of perpetual youth. But you're right, and that's what I said. Like the girls in the group that we did this constellations, we looked at each other like in mid year. We're like, have you guys noticed that we look different, or is it just me? And they're like, no. The teacher goes, yeah, you guys. I wish I saw. You need to take pictures before and after because you do end up looking younger, and and I love my 52 years. Like people ask me, how old are you going to be? I'm 52. And that's when people say, like, you've been doing this for 30 years. I'm over 30 years. Yeah. But like I'm 52, dude.
You're aging like fine wine, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you again for coming on. Do you want to say the annoying bye with me?
Sure.
Bye.
Bye.